Welcome everybody to Soar and Pair, Why Not Together, episode 30.
Hi.
Hi, and welcome to our two friends here. For those on the podcast, we have our two skulls that we have been working on that we talked about last week. Mine's the pearl white.
Mine is the black one. Yeah, we're still working on them, but some people said they wanted to see them, so this is the work in progress. We're having fun.
It's not done yet, but we have 2 weeks to go, don't we?
Yeah.
Till the day.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Day of the Dead. So,
Mine has bad habit here.
yeah. I don't know why she put a cigarette in.
Because
Yeah,
I was being stupid.
Smoking is bad for your health, as you can see.
Anyway, I'm gonna move it. Yeah.
So we'll take. So welcome everybody. We are back with a full episode. Last week we jokingly called it 29.5
Yeah.
because we did not have anything ready. We are back on track. Today we are going to be talking about releasing guilt through self-forgiveness.
Yes.
So we do have something to talk about. So we're definitely excited to talk about this. There's a lot going on right now, and I'm going to turn it over to Sandy because she has, quite an update, something that she wanted to share.
So, in the vein of transparency, I had a bit of a scare this week. Turns out, it's a long story, but to condense it, I had some dental work done 30 years ago, had my wisdom teeth out, and I've had trouble with my teeth for many years, just lots of issues. I constantly in the dentist chair, and nobody can ever figure out, healthy gums, but what the heck's going on? So fast forward to now, we come to find out I went to have a dental implant done, and we find out that I have what they think is a tumor in my jaw. When I had my wisdom teeth out, they had to leave the roots in, and they fish hook around the main nerve that runs along your jaw. And 30 years ago, the dentist was like, I'm not touching it, or the surgeon, they sent me to a surgeon, and the surgeon wouldn't touch it because of the risk, because of being high risk. But now it's created a large tumor, and so I'm gonna have to have a biopsy done, and then depending on how that comes out, then we're gonna have to have surgery before I can even get to the implant. So, I had a moment, I'll be honest, I had my moment of freak out, called Jim at work. He came home.
I did.
Yeah, and I honestly, it lasted a couple hours where I was just really scared, and it kind of freaked me out. But then I took a deep breath and I realized, wait a minute, I've got all these tools at my disposal. What am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
Honestly. So, I started thinking, it's like, oh, I've got all these tools, and I really don't feel like it's cancer. I feel like this is going to be benign, and that this is going to be a good thing. Don't you?
Right, and I think we suspect that these parts of roots that have been left in your jaw, in the back of your mouth for a long time, have been causing issues.
Yeah.
For a very long time. It's almost
Other
like
health issues.
Yes, it's been causing other problems that we haven't been able to really figure out
and
why.
The thing is, with any kind of, I'm sure you guys all know, with any dental issues, it goes straight to the pericardium. So that's one big issue that can happen. I've had heart palpitations and things like this. And it's just all these different health issues along the years. I'm thinking could have been, not that it's everything that's ever ailed me, but it could be a lot of it. And I feel like this could be a blessing in disguise. And so I'm choosing to walk through this with a lighter heart, and to think positive, and to really take this as a gift. It might really turn out to be a good thing.
Right.
I'm still nervous. Let's be honest, I'm still nervous.
I'm really appreciative and in awe of your attitude. I don't think a whole lot of people would go there. You deal with people every day as a nurse who deal with major issues like this, and I hear you constantly calming them down.
Oh yeah.
But it's always different when it's you.
Oh, of course, right? I mean, it's very easy to tell somebody else, you know, to kind of pep talk somebody else. But when it's you, you kind of, oh, wait a minute. That doesn't happen to me. That happens to other people. But I think this is a good chance for me to walk my talk, honestly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think you decided to share this. I was a little surprised, but I mean, I think that's what we set out to do in this podcast YouTube channel is whatever we're going through.
Share it. Why not?
We're sharing this journey together, and obviously we'll keep you updated as to what happens.
Yeah.
If we have to skip a Sunday or a week because
We'll let you know.
yeah. We'll let you know. But we are both choosing to look at this as a great opportunity for you to actually get even better.
Exactly. And you know, we may come on here and my face will be out to here. That could happen too. But as I'm mumbling through the podcast.
Then all our podcast listeners are going to say, I have to find them on YouTube. First of all, we got to see these skeleton, you know, heads that they're painting. And then we have to see this swollen, you know, face of Sandy's.
Yeah.
No, but it's really, I think as we go through this, you know, the successes and the failures, that's what
it's all about.
That's what it is.
And, you know, I can't be the only person this has happened to. It's rare, granted, but it's not that rare. So, you know, I think we need to support each other through these things.
I'm just picturing Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's a tumor.
It's a tumor.
It's a tumor. I don't know why that popped in my head. But
I'll be back.
Hasta la vista, tumor. But I mean, part of this is you know, we look at it, we talk about it. Of course, I always, as we face anything difficult, I want you to express yourself. But then, what can we do to get on the other side of it and start, you know, looking at how to approach this, how to attack it, or how to step back and go, okay, there's only so much I can do.
Right.
You know.
Well, you know, as a nurse, you know, everybody has to walk through each situation in their own way. I respect that. I get it. But as a cancer, you know, chemo nurse, for example, the people who would go through situations through their treatment with a good attitude, with a healthy outlook, you know, just always looking for the best. Those are the patients, in my experience, that always did the best because they were expecting a good outcome, so therefore that's what they were creating. And that's really what I want to do.
That's what they taught you all those years ago, right?
Exactly.
Like, you know, you're having your moment. Hopefully it's not, we don't know for sure, but we don't think it's
I really don't
metastatic
feel like
cancer, but it could turn into that if we don't do anything. So
yeah, they said if I don't take care of it, it could cause some big issues for me. So obviously I need to take care of it.
Right.
So we'll see what happens.
Right. We'll take it one visit at a time, one situation at a time.
Yep.
And kudos to you. We'll keep you updated on that, and appreciate you sharing that. But it does segue into our theme of the day, which is releasing guilt through self-forgiveness. Because I think if you're a human being, you're going to experience some type of guilt.
Oh yeah.
You're going to experience some kind of shame or remorse because we're all flawed, right?
Yeah.
And I think
sometimes more than others, right?
right. And when something not good happens to somebody, like for instance, you know, what you're going through, a lot of times people will think, well, I deserve this. Or maybe
what did I do?
Right.
Yeah. Or here we go again. You know, it's always this way for me.
And so we wanted to talk about how you deal with that kind of guilt. And and you and I have done some exercises recently where we keep releasing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to get into the details, but literally we've been doing a lot of internal
A lot of
releasing.
work, and it's just, it's not the made for TV stuff like we heard from somebody else say. It's not pretty when you're going through it, but I think it's so cathartic to release this stuff, and as it comes up, look at it and see what you can learn from it.
Right, because guilt, I think, is the underlying problem, the underlying root cause of all the dysfunctional things people.
I was raised Catholic. You're preaching to the choir here.
Well, and as raised Mormon, there, we had our own version, definitely of, I think as we grew up as parents, we were a bad boy or girl if we didn't follow the rules.
Yeah.
Right? We were told you're bad, you did wrong, and I mean there's a certain lesson in that, but I think what happens as a sensitive child, you're like, oh, I must be bad, because I didn't follow the rule, and I think that becomes a habit.
Yes, and that creates little people pleasers, right?
That would be me. I don't know about little, but I am definitely still looking at my propensity to please people, and then I feel shame about that. So we're all working on ourselves, and so when you're like working on yourself and you just make the same mistake that you've always made again. So for instance, me, oh my gosh, I just, instead of standing up or saying something, I just went along with that because it's just easier to not cause waves. And then I think to myself, see, usually like there's this inner judge that goes, see, Jim, there you go again, people pleasing. And then there's that feeling of shame along with guilt.
So that cycle just keeps continuing, the beating yourself up and over and over again. Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking earlier, they're very similar, but they are different. So guilt is more about something that you did wrong, right?
Right.
But shame is about feeling bad about just who you are.
Who you are, yeah.
Which to me is even more.
That's even worse. Yeah, because at least the first one is incidental. The second one is very personal.
Right. And shame, I think, can be something that's so hard to tolerate that you push it down and you just go on. But the minute, somebody does something to you or something happens, you're like, oh yeah, I remember what a bad person I am, and just in
well,
general.
Even if you don't think about it that way, it's just that feeling. It's not even going through those steps of the exact verbatim thinking. It's just the feeling that hits you viscerally, and then you just absorb it again and again and again.
Right. And as we all know, as parents, we've made lots of mistakes with our kids, and so there's also feeling that kind of guilt and or shame, like, could I have been a better parent?
Oh gosh, count the ways. I mean, if you've lived, you've got all these kind of examples, right?
Right. So that's why I think when we talk about self-forgiveness, I mean, it's easy to say, but when you're really talking about dealing with those,
getting to the root.
Yes, really getting to how you feel deep down inside, I think that's a really important thing for everyone to look at. And it's something that we wanted to bring this up because it's something that we're working on, even though I don't say that both of us walk around and have a propensity for guilt, but I think there's
No.
At least I hope not. Guilty. One of our favorite things in Disneyland when we went there, gosh, 5-6 years ago, was Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Yeah.
At the end, if you've ever been on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, you're going, you're of course breaking all these, you're the worst driver in the world, you're running over people, you're making people jump into the river, and at the very end, you come to this judge who goes, guilty, carry on, that is all, or something like that. And then you go into this cute little, looks like little devils, right? So you got punished into driving hell, and then you come out.
We drove Shay crazy with that.
Yes,
Yeah.
all we said the whole time we were at Disneyland, guilty, carry on. And it's fun to go through a ride like that, but isn't that what we all do to ourselves?
Pretty much. It's a great example of what we all do. Yeah.
Right, because we are driving these cars, our human bodies, and there's a lot of accidents that happen. It's true. Maybe we should get a license for our bodies. Like, a class B. A class B, I was going to say.
He's going through puberty.
See, I need to renew my license. I was trying to say something clever. Class B for boy, G for girl. Anyway, but how we get through every day in this body, in my opinion, is a challenge.
Yeah.
We're all constantly figuring out what to put on this body, right? Trying to constantly clean it.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to make sure we're eating the right things. And we make a lot of mistakes with our own body.
Yeah.
I mean, I can look down in my middle and see 15
we're
pounds
talk
of
about that right now.
15 pounds of mistakes that I need to deal with. But my point is that being human, we're prone to be like Mr. Toad.
Right.
And
Mr. Toad.
and go off our road of where we should be, and then that judge, which is really inside your head, says guilty. That is all. You're really. It's a cute way for me to say there's self-condemnation.
He just went way off-roading, didn't he?
I just took a wild ride with Mr. Toad.
You did.
But it just...
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. It was great.
No, and I think you and I have talked about that judge in our own head.
Yeah.
That we have that judge that knows us, knows everything we've ever thought.
I've got like a Judge Judy sitting in there. She's kind of a snark. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Boy, I wouldn't want to come up against her.
I think she's wearing a nun's habit, so yeah.
Oh, so she's a Judge Judy who's a nun, is basically your judge.
Hitting my fingers, right?
Mine's more like Simon Cowell on American Idol. Really? Is that all you could do? Come on. You're no star, no, but seriously, that's kind of funny, but if we all step back and took a look at ourselves, we're constantly, and part of the judging, the evaluation part is necessary, but I think what happens is emotionally we take it too far. It really...
And that's a good point. I like that. Thank you for bringing that up, because the self-reflection is very different than the self-flagellation. It's when you continue to beat yourself up with it. It's one thing to recognize what's happening, because that's part of the learning, and catching it sooner. Very much like what I did with this tumor scare, is I had my moment for a few hours and I caught it way quicker than I have in the past. Even a few years ago, I can tell you, not proud of it, but I probably would have hung on to it a few days, if not a week. So I'm getting better.
Right.
It takes practice.
It really does, and it takes a lot of self-awareness. And if you notice, week after week, we talk about a lot of things where we're joking about, laughing about, but we're always kind of looking within.
Right.
Because it's so easy, I think, to feel bad about something and do the old projection, like, yeah, but look at those people over there, or look at those people that were mean to me when I was a child, or
well, yeah, and forgiveness, right? Right, isn't that what we're getting into here?
Right.
Is forgiving, the mean kids down the street, or whoever outside of you, but bringing it back, because we get into an argument, I can forgive Jim all day, but until I forgive myself for that situation, I don't really get to the root of it, and so there's always a nagging bit in there.
Right, and we feel like we must pay for what we've done. So I think what happens is we go around through our day and go, yeah, that happened to me. I deserve. It's almost like going back to Catholic guilt, paying penance for
the penance,
all those things, and the larger what we've done, then I think self-sabotage starts to happen.
Yes.
We've
all been there.
I don't. This isn't going to happen. I don't deserve this goodness. Why is this happening to me? And we push it away.
Yeah, because you feel like you you have to pay for some, yeah. And who knows even if that's what people are thinking. It's such an unconscious level. I think a lot of times it's just on the unconscious level that you don't think about what it is. You just revert to that over and over.
Right, and if we're talking about loving yourself, if it were that easy, just love yourself. It'll be fine. Oh, sure, no problem.
Okay.
It sounds great.
Well, a great example for this, I'm going to bring something up right now that I haven't brought up in a while, is I had a lot of problems with my mother through the years, and everybody kept telling me, you just need to forgive her. And I'm like, okay, how? I thought I had, but apparently not. It wasn't until I went in and did the work here that I was finally able, when I forgave myself for the whole situation, that I was able to finally start to release all that baggage.
And it ultimately comes back to ourself. No matter if it's something that we did or something that somebody did to us, we still were involved in it. And I think, even in, not that we're talking about this, but even in cases of child abuse, the child feels responsible, which is crazy.
Right.
But it's where we go. We're like, well, I must be a bad person. I must
what
have
did I
caused
do?
this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though they're
Total victim.
Yeah, total victim. And so that cycle just keeps going on and on. And, something that I hear you say, and when I'm home and you're working, I don't listen to a lot of details, but when you're talking to patients, I always hear you wrap up the conversation with saying, just be kind to yourself. Be gentle with yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear you say that all the time. Why do you say that to them?
Because people tend to, like you're saying, makes me emotional. Wow, where did that come from? I don't know where that came from. Anyway,
because you care about your patients.
Yeah.
Because she really does, and it's simultaneously great, but it also is like, let it.
Yeah, let it go. Yeah. So people they tend to beat themselves up. And so I'm constantly reminding them, just be gentle, be kind to yourself, because that's where the healing begins.
Right. I think that's a beautiful example. That's why you're such a great nurse, by the way.
Thank you.
A pretty great wife, too, by the way.
Oh, wow. Thanks.
Not bad in the wife category. No.
Just kind of like.
I think people, and this may be true, and you know this better than I do, dealing as a nurse, when people get sick, they're like, I suffer. I need to suffer, because if I suffer, I'm not only paying penance, but it's almost like it's important to suffer, right?
Well, it's I always joke about this. Yeah, I suffer, therefore I really care, right? It's funny, but it's not funny, because there's so much truth to it.
Right.
There's no need for it.
Right, and I think, and without getting into this whole discussion of religion, it's almost like the more you suffer, the closer you are to God. Mm-hmm. I don't agree with that. I don't think that.
I don't think it was ever intended.
Right. I don't really think that's the message that any great sage or saint or even Jesus was teaching. It was being loving and true to everybody.
Talk about skewing the message, right?
Right. And so this whole idea of I'm a bad person, I need to suffer, and somehow, that'll make me right in some form or another is just right. And so all this has an effect on the body, doesn't it? We've talked about this before, but we thought we'd take a few minutes to you found a couple things.
And I'm going to post these on my page, and I'll also add a link to this video.
Right.
But where we store things in the body, when the what is it, the grief and the shame,
right,
where we store it in the body is normally in the low back, That's really where, sadness and guilt and shame is going to be stored in the low body, in the low back, and it can also be in the pancreas and the spleen.
What, will you explain this to me, please?
Oh.
I couldn't help it. I was waiting.
Yeah, you were, weren't you?
I was just
He was
wait.
just like, say it.
Say the spleen so you can explain it to me.
Explain it.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You're talking about very serious things here.
So serious.
Yes.
Why so serious? So anyway, I found some really this great diagram that shows where we store our emotions in our body, and I'm going to share it with you guys so that you can see it for yourselves if you're interested. I know a lot of people were very interested in the mind-body connection that we spoke of before.
Yeah, and I think it's important to realize, I will share this with you guys today. So we were talking about this, we were going through some clearing exercises, and we were talking about clearing guilt and shame, and I started getting a pain in my lower back. I mean, it really started hurting. I'm like, what? And of course, here I have a nurse, an energy healer. I'm like, she's like, lay down.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. And of course, she starts working on me, and she goes, this brought some stuff up. And so, without getting into details, I found I had more to release.
Yeah.
So it's like the further you dig, and not that you have to get all the way to the bottom, but the further you dig and you open up, the more your body will tell you. Your body is a great, almost like a
barometer.
Yeah, a barometer, a mechanism to say, hey, you may want to
learning. I'm sorry. It's about learning the language of your body too.
Even better. I'm glad you jumped in. I wasn't going anywhere yet.
Okay.
I was Mr. Toad. I was going to crash over here.
Sorry.
No, perfect. You saved me.
Okay. But no, it's a great barometer. It really is, because it will tell you what it needs. And, learning to understand the language. And like you said, it comes up in pieces. And the more you work it, the quicker you can get rid of it. It's about just recognizing when it comes up. Then, you don't have to get all the way to the bottom in one fell swoop. That's just exhausting anyway. Don't even try.
No, I think if you're ready, do what you're ready to do, and then let it go.
Right. Right.
Today we just did a lot of work. It just ended up being that. I mean, literally, a lot of the day we were talking about it.
It just came up naturally.
Yes, and so perhaps because, and this is how this subject came up, because it really, going back to the guilt, it's really about where that's trapped in your memories and your experiences, and how you can look at it and go, you know what, I was just a kid.
Look at it.
Yeah, just look at it.
You know you want to.
Now you got me. But the looking at it, the willingness to really step back and say, okay, that's what happened. That's what I did, or that what was done to me. And
what your perception
right
of what I think was done to me. Yes, because your perception's your reality, right?
Couldn't have said it better myself.
I keep interrupting you.
No. This is, and it's really good, because it is really all about your self-perception is what we're really talking about. Because you could have everything in the world. We've seen this with celebrities, and yet be tortured in the mind because not letting go of guilt, not forgiving. Everybody has made mistakes, some larger than others, but those two things, I think, can eclipse any kind of success, riches, fame, all that stuff.
Of course.
And so when we get here near the end, we talked that we kind of researched, and we looked at a couple steps to kind of help us, wherever you're at, to get to that level where you can start to release that guilt. So it's not going to happen all at once. It's not a 3-minute ride in Disneyland that you can just let it go.
I was hoping.
So there.
Really?
So in order to help you get to that point where you're releasing any of that guilt, forgiving yourself, so that you can be a clearer, happier, lighter person, the first thing is just, I think, self-understanding, having compassion for yourself.
Be kind to yourself.
just like we were talking about
Yeah.
earlier.
Always go back to being kind to yourself. What do I need? What can I do to show myself some kindness, some love, and to just take a moment to hear what I need? Nothing wrong with that. In fact, I think it's kind of required.
Well, and as you're kind to yourself, you tend to be kinder. And don't we need more kindness in this world right now? Really,
Yeah,
gentleness.
we really do. Yeah.
The world is hardly gentle right now. You know, whether you're talking about the COVID-19 virus, what's happening to you is certainly not gentle.
Right.
And yet, having that sense of kindness and gentleness with yourself, allowing yourself to feel what you need to feel, I think is going to be so important every step of the way.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. And I expect there will be some gnarly stuff coming up along the way. And so, just taking that moment, even once a day, to just kind of reevaluate where I'm at and what can I do to what do I need to get back to that place today?
Exactly.
Reground.
So self-understanding is the first. The second is something called common humanity. I mean, we're all humans. We talked about this before, but we're all making mistakes. We're all having these little minor, major accidents along our road in our bodies, right? And it's just understanding that we all are on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
You're so right. What a great description. That gave me a very visual. Yeah, thank you.
Well, we're all in these bumper cars, and not, a lot of times not deliberately, and bumping into each other and making mistakes. And, when you live and are married to somebody, it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. I was out a lot this week in public, and I'm not usually out of the house that much. And
I don't let her out that much.
Right? I snuck out. But
it won't happen again.
Surprised. I was actually very surprised what I saw out there. A lot of what you're talking about, we need more of the common humanity.
Right, just giving each other a break.
Really surprised me, yeah.
Right, just the way people are driving without getting all into that.
Yeah, without getting all into that, just, from the way people treat each other, to the way they're driving, to the way they talk to each other. It's a good reminder to me to recognize where other people are.
Right. And the third or the last step here is asking forgiveness from your higher power. So however you see that, whether you see that in the context of a religion you're devoted to or in your own way of looking at things, I think that has to be part of it, to feel connected to the Creator, whatever you could perceive that to be, is also, I don't think, something that anyone should ignore.
No. And that's such a personal thing. We're not even going to venture to tell anyone, how to do that. But whatever works for you is dive into that.
Right.
Dive into that more. Lean in.
Because I think ultimately we all come to realize that we were made from a loving source, and that is what we're going to feel as we connect to our higher power.
Yeah.
That's what they talk about in Alcoholics Anonymous, to help them through a very, very difficult, lifetime sentence of that disease.
Some really great steps there that I think we could all practice, but yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's beautiful, but we have a quote here at the end. Do you want to read it?
Sure.
Yeah, I think you should read it.
Okay. Forgive yourself. You're not perfect. Show yourself grace. You're still learning. Show yourself patience. You are on a journey. And that's from Shannon Yvette Tanner. It's beautiful.
It is. We are on a journey, and it's exciting. I think what I love about being on this journey with you, Sandy, is that I know we're going to have our tough times, but we're going to laugh through it. We're going to get through it. We're going to help each other, and I'm just a lucky guy to have somebody as loving and supportive as you are.
Thank you. And I completely agree. I wouldn't want to be going through this with anybody else. I know he's always got my back.
That's why we are Soarin' Pair as we fist pump. So, a Sandyism.
Okay.
I think this one is very appropriate.
Okay.
Judgy Judger.
Judgy Judger man.
That's her, very descriptive. Are you being a judgy judger?
Hey, Judgy Judger man.
So that's how she calls me out when, she feels a little bit of judgment from me. So that was
I love it.
thought that was a good one to bring up. But we thank you all for hanging with us this week.
Nice.
We will keep you up to date with Sandy's situation.
Yes.
And walking you through and giving you good news, because that's what we're putting out there. That it's going to
Absolutely.
be...
This is going to be good. This is all going to be good. And so, yeah,
And we know other people are going through things. So if you're going through something, whether it's a health event, whether it's something going on, we know you can get through this. We know that you have the strength to
support each other.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. That's awesome. And by the way, before we go, I just want to say a quick thank you to everyone who put notes out there for Jim's birthday. It was so sweet.
That's right.
Huge outpouring. Thank you.
That was very, very nice.
Yes.
It's nice to feel connected, and I don't even want to say how many years. It's just a lot of years.
A few.
Yeah, a
Just a
few.
few.
But we got a long way to go.
Yeah.
So
We'll see you guys next week.
Have a
Have a
great
good
week.
one.
take care, everyone. Thank you.